Hi, everyone. Welcome to Small Cap Discoveries conference call. Today, we have CEO Owen Moore and Margaux from BeWhere Holdings to give us an update after their third quarter. BeWhere trades on the TSX Venture Exchange under the symbol BEW and on the OTC under BEW-FF. The company is trading at about 23 cents with roughly 88 million shares outstanding, or about a $20 million market cap. I'd now like to hand it over to Paul Andriola.
Thanks, Trevor. Happy to have both Margaux and the CEO of the company to basically update us on the latest numbers. Owen, if you would like, I understand you've got a presentation to share with us. I'll let you go right to it.
Okay, I'll take the hand. So I'll just give a brief recap from the last meeting we had. It was in July, I believe. So in case we have new listeners that don't remember what we do, I'm going to go very briefly over our business model. Owen, if you can just show that slide that you were on earlier. So BeWhere is a mobile Internet of Things company. We build little devices that have SIM cards and GPS and a bunch of sensors on it. It's to fulfill two types of use cases. One is asset tracking. So we are disrupting existing solutions for asset trackers using 3G, LTE, or 4G by using a low power network, which is a low power 5G network, which costs a lot less. And the second kind of segment that we work into is connected sensors. So those are more fixed solutions, and we work in agri-tech and other smart city use cases to gather data on environmental data. So the kicker of the company is the business model, which is a hardware sale plus a monthly recurring fee. And our advantage compared to competition is the low cost of our products, both on the hardware side, on the recurring side, using low power 5G. And we just wanted to bring out a new use case that just popped up during the US election. So Owen, if you want to jump to slide number 6. So we track and we analyze a bunch of things. Number 6, Owen, please. Thank you. So, asset tracking can be relatively boring. We're going to talk about trailers, flatbed chassis, but it can also be fun. And what happened during the election is one of our partner actually walked into a vote office to fill his ballot. And suddenly, when he was going to put his ballot into that machine that counts them, he saw one of our device right on there. So I removed the name of the county, but this is somewhere in Pennsylvania, and this is one of our asset tracker, the B10, that is on there. So we can only assume that they were tracking all the ballot box to make sure that all of them were accounted for. So this is pretty amazing, and I'm going to leave the story there. I'm going to let Owen talk about the financial update.
Perfect. Thanks, Margaux. Can everybody hear me?
Sure can.
Okay, awesome. So yeah, that was great. The I think the ballot box example sort of highlights some of the power of our distribution model, but it also highlights some of the deficiencies in our distribution model. So one of the industries that we're focused on is government and smart city and introducing technology into it, but we always don't have our finger on the pulse of what's going on the end users. We sell through large distributors, including AT&T, and some of our results in the most recent quarter were buoyed by the launch with T-Mobile and Bell. So we often don't see how our technology is being directly used by our customers, but this was a case where we had one of our partners happen to walk in and saw our device kind of working away on a ballot validation machine. And then I obviously reached out to who I thought was responsible for the project, and they acknowledged it and said that it's a great opportunity, and there's the potential for literally tens of thousands of units. Had we had a chance to get started a little earlier, it would have been more than a couple thousand units. But the other thing that it kind of highlights in our business is you know, we're across a number of segments, both public sector and government and private sector, and government is one of the sectors that's been hit pretty hard during COVID. They've had to defer property taxes for a period of time, and collections, and you know, transit agencies are struggling right across North America. But I think this highlights there is business to be done in government, even if it's maybe not at the levels that we had hoped for previously. But you just need to, you know, have a product that can be used in a variety of use cases, so that as those new opportunities arrive in government and some of the more traditional opportunities in government slow the pace a little bit, you know, it sort of positions us well. So we did release the quarterly numbers. Third quarter numbers were posted on Monday. Across the board, it was improvement across all main metrics, all key performance indicators, and we're happy about that. But I think, you know, part of the narrative on the recent quarter and what I just talked about is some of the sectors that we serve haven't fully recovered, and I think that's actually a positive, because you know, as they continue to recover, we're posting record revenues, and then you know, as government improves, then that'll only help us. It probably was less than 10% of our revenue in Q3, and we're hoping to see government, you know, move closer to 20-25% of revenue going forward. So I think what it does is it kind of sets the foundation for more runway for us, and more improvement to be done. The recent quarter came in just shy of 2.2 million. It was by far a record. We reviewed some of this previously, so I won't spend too much time on the historic stuff, but you know, from inception, from zero revenue to you know, north of 6 million in 2019 is just the start for us, we believe. One of the metrics that we obviously talk regularly about, because it is, you know, it produces most of our gross margin, is our recurring revenue. Recurring revenue in the most recent quarter was buoyed over $50,000 quarter over quarter. It represents some, I don't know, looks like about 12 consecutive quarters of record recurring revenue consecutively, or actually more than 12. It looks closer to 15 or 16 there. And we're happy with that. That, you know, like I said, that's where most of our margin comes in, and we track it very closely. The other sort of major achievement in Q3 was turning net income. It wasn't a huge amount, but it was about 25 grand positive in net income in the third quarter. And, you know, we turned EBITDA positive about a year ago, and that continues to trend and track higher. So I think in and around $130,000 was the EBITDA number for Q3. So we continue to improve across earnings and income metrics as well. Share price has improved a little bit. We certainly appreciate the support that we've received from Trevor and Paul as we've continued our journey here. You know, no plans to issue stock. We've improved our cash position. I think we started the year at about 2.4 million, maybe a little bit over that. We're at about 2.6 million through no exercise of warrants or issuance of shares. It's all been entirely based on business operations. We talked a little bit about this before. This is one of the things that we're super excited about, is launching the new product, the B Mini. I might actually share another picture with you. Expected launch is early January right now. We do have our first commercial devices in hand that are going to go through testing. And while we're still working on some of the marketing literature, I don't know if you can see my screen there, but that's sorry about the background. That's the B Mini there. It is mini, and we're excited about the possibilities. We think there's a ton of technology and innovation packed in there. And I think that's all I had for you guys. And I thought Trevor and Paul, if you know, depending on how you want to proceed, if you want to open it up to questions or. Yeah,
you know, as always, guys, those that are listening, if you've got some questions, I see we've got at least one ready to go. Just use the chat function and fire the questions along. I guess, you know, we've got a pretty good handle on what you guys are all about now. I do want to know a little bit more about the new product. New products are always great, add on and usually provide an additional inflection point. But give us a better sense of who you think you can sell this to, where the applications really are for this, and like what advantage do you have over anybody else that's trying to do something similar?
Sure. Good question. Let me just start. So, the device itself is literally packed full of technology. It has low-powered cellular, both variants, NB-IoT and LTE-M, which allows us to cover a large number of countries at this stage who have rolled out those two cellular networks. It also has a Bluetooth transceiver packed in there, a Wi-Fi transceiver. It has all our existing sensors: temperature, air pressure, humidity, light. It has an accelerometer. It's rechargeable and waterproof. And, we're pretty excited about it. It covers full location tracking indoors and outdoors through those various communication technologies I just mentioned, in addition to GPS, obviously. That's just a standard sensor now. And that's important because, a small device like this needs to be ubiquitously tracked, whether it's in a basement or whether it's traveling down the highway. And the way you accomplish that is not just by one location technology. GPS doesn't work, underground. It uses satellites to calculate the location and then sends that over cellular. And so the way you get around that is you incorporate other technologies to get location indoors, like Wi-Fi. Your phones use Wi-Fi. That little device is basically a cell phone without a camera and without a display screen. It literally is packed full of technology. We also, everything we do has price in consideration. So we always look to bring markets out at a fraction of the cost of existing offerings, and we think we'll be able to do that again with this particular product. And then, specifically to your question, there's a number of markets that it's going to be going after. We're going to be going after pet tracking with a gentleman who's a known supplier in the pet tracking industry, and we're excited about that. We've talked a little bit online about the use cases for drone tracking technology, and we have a project with Bell for that. But then it also applies to our current market, which is equipment, tools, containers, and basically it opens up that market to a much larger degree because our existing product is probably about 80 to 90% larger, and the smaller the device, the smaller the tools and equipment you can append it to. And so it exponentially expands the market opportunity. And the other good thing is, if we look at our history, we've lit up large distributors over time. It hasn't all come overnight, but now we have a captive distribution audience that's excited about new product. They're certainly excited about this specific product, and I'm sure they're going to bring a whole bunch of new opportunities in industries that we didn't even think about. And arguably, this particular product might be better suited to the ballot boxes as that continues to get traction going forward, and possibly at a more aggressive price point, but also maintaining or improving our margin, our bottom line. So that was kind of a long-winded answer.
I covered, it was a long-winded question, so it works out well. So what I love about your business is there is some telegraphing of future revenues based on how much hardware you sell. And maybe correct me if I'm wrong, but if we look at your breakdown of revenue, you're selling hardware at basically a cost, we'll call it. That is a precursor to what your data revenue is going to look like as you go. So the more hardware you're selling, we are going to see more recurring revenue, are we not?
Yeah, exactly. Now the exact model for the Mini changes a little bit, but it still drives towards recurring revenue. Although in some cases we'll be collecting that in advance for the year. So, guys that are in the recurring revenue game typically have a deferred revenue category, and that's to cover off contracts like that. So, you know, if you collect the money in advance, but you're still on the hook to provide service for a period of time, then you need to defer that revenue out and recognize it equally over that term that you're providing the service. Oh my God, I'm sorry. That's the pets in the background are a little noisy. So the perils of working from home.
Yeah, no worries. Well, okay. So speaking of the Mini, what sort of package or what does it sell for?
It's all to be determined, and keep in mind some of that is determined by the distributors. So
right.
That's you know, as we finalize carrier certifications and go through a process that they call skewing, setting a skew for it in their billing and procurement system. All of those details will be worked out. But you know, if I get my way, it's going to be super aggressively priced, and you know, the typical salesman's mantra: if we hit a lower price point, we'll make it up in volume, and you know, we truly believe that.
Now, are all your distributors that you've already got partnerships with, are they going to carry this product?
They're all welcome to carry it. You know, the ones that we're focused on initially, and it makes sense because you know, you need to certify it with a carrier before any of the partners can take it. So we're obviously focused on the big guys initially, so that we can get it certified and get it into their hands. But you know, the partners right across the board have expressed interest. They're all going to be getting runs of the initial commercial production, so that they can get a head around it, and we're excited. This is you know, this is a significant product launch. It's significantly different than anything we've done in the past, and different from anything that's currently available in the market. And you know, the exciting part for us is we're not trying to light up distribution at the same time we're launching it. The distribution, and you know, today is already there.
Is there? Yeah. And so we've got a question from one of the listeners, little sort of complicated around the data collection. I mean, you're using cell signals, it's a 5G cell signal, but is there any other system you're using?
So for the data transmission, we're specific to the low-powered cellular networks. Those and those are the 5G networks that go by the name of LTE-M and NB-IoT. But then in terms of, you know, the sensors on board and how we determine location, regardless of whether the asset is inside or outside, that's where all those other communication technologies that I mentioned come into play. So there, we won't necessarily use Wi-Fi, even though we have the capability to. We won't use Wi-Fi for transmitting data, you know, to the servers or to the applications, but we will use Wi-Fi as a mechanism to determine location in absence of GPS. And same with cell. We do triangulation from the towers as another method. We have Bluetooth as a fourth method, you know, over and above GPS. That's where it's you know, that's the part that kind of excites me a little bit. We packed a whole boatload of technology into this little thing. We're going to hit an aggressive price point, and we think it kind of pushes the innovation envelope again.
This is a slight sort of interesting dynamic, but we've had, you know, very recently, obviously, we've had Pfizer's come out with their sort of vaccine, and hopefully it works, but there's an issue around this vaccine where it requires very, very low temperature to, you know, sort of handle logistics and store and things like that. Do you guys do anything in the pharmaceutical space? Is this an application where you can see a product like this where temperature becomes a very big issue? Do you see that as potential opportunity, not specifically for Pfizer, but we are talking, you know, keeping data on temperature? That's what you guys do, right?
Sure. Temperature, air pressure, humidity, light. Humidity also comes into play under certain conditions, under where there's not just temperature requirements for food transport and monitoring temperature, but also humidity requirements. So yeah, whether it's the pharmaceutical industry, and we have some traction in it, we expect it to grow. You know, I know that we have some devices going into doctors' fridges, specifically to monitor antibiotics and vaccines. And you know, as a COVID vaccine gets to market, that's going to be more interesting. But that is certainly a key use case for us, and has been for a while. Temperature monitoring is important to us, and we expect this to open up, you know, more opportunities. You know, reusable packaging where people are delivering goods and expecting to get the cooler back. That's a perfect use case, and you might not think about it as a big market, but it's absolutely huge, and it spans from organ transport to pharmaceuticals to, you know, to food. It's just that massive and important, and it's been bolstered because of, you know, I don't know if you remember, but about 1.5 years ago, Chipotle in the U.S. had a major E. coli breakout, and it was due to, you know, food delivery problems. Frozen and refrigerated goods being, you know, delivered at plus 30 degrees Celsius isn't a good thing.
Yeah, no, for sure. Then we've got a question just in regards to sort of long-term strategy here. You guys are building a very nice, solid, long-tailed recurring revenue stream. Is this likely to be a business that's going to get acquired by somebody else that wants access to that type of client base? What are your thoughts there?
Yeah, I mean, you know, we're a small micro cap publicly traded company, so by definition, we're for sale. Right. I don't have a mandate from the board to look for strategic initiatives, and, you know, quite frankly, Margaux and the rest of the team all have our hands super full with, you know, managing the business and trying to grow the business. So it's the type of thing that can be lucrative, and it's important for an exit strategy at the right point in time. But you know, right now we're focused on continuing to produce cash and controlling our destiny just by running the business prudently.
Yeah, and you know, mentioning the cash, your cash is starting to build up a little bit. If you were to continue to build your cash, where do you think you'd start to deploy some of that excess cash?
So we do, you know, one of the things that arguably I missed a little bit on is we do run a super lean operation, and you know, it's been great because it's shown that our business model can scale. But at some point, you got to start staffing up a little bit on product support, on additional sales and marketing resources, and on technology, research and development, and engineering. You know, it's just, as the revenues grow and as you start producing cash, you need to reinvest, I think, the majority of that cash back into the business. So we will start to be staffing up a little bit. And then, you know, if we continue in this format and the cash continues to grow and accumulate, then, you know, it's not always prudent for a small growing technology company to return capital to shareholders. But it's a part of the game, and we're going to be, you know, at the right point, we'll be looking to allocate some of that cash back to shareholders, likely in the form of an issuer bid. I think we've signaled that for some time, but that's a balancing act too. You know, I think it's, at this stage, it's more important to grow the company and look at that secondarily.
Yeah, gotcha, perfect. So you mentioned the new product coming. What we always like to know is just give a sort of a sense of what else investors should watch for sort of over the course of the next 6 to 12 months. What else should we keep our eye out for?
Yeah, I think the new product is certainly first and foremost. I think you can look for increased, you know, there's been a lot of large opportunities we've been chasing for some time now. You know, opportunities that are well north of 10, 20,000 units. And it's only a matter of time before one of those pop. They don't happen overnight. Those are contracts that you typically build into and start, you know, with smaller orders. But at any given quarter, one of those big ones could make a huge difference for us. And you know, and maybe that might come out of the new product, or maybe that's something that, you know, that we've been working on for some time finally comes to fruition in a really large way. You know, we have landed 10,000, 20,000 unit deals, but now it's time to, you know, start setting our sights on larger ones, 50,000 plus. And we think those are, we think they're out there. We know they're out there, and we think we're in a position to execute.
You think there's anything else that you want to leave us with? Any other messages? Anything that I haven't asked that you want to make sure?
No, just that, you know, we really appreciated your guys' support. We know you went out a little bit on a limb, but it's been great working with you guys, and we hope we can continue to update on our progress going forward.
That's fantastic. Listen, Owen and Margaux, thank you. You know, we were very impressed with the quarter. Every time we hear record numbers, we get excited. So it looks like plenty to look forward to. Exciting to know there's new product to add on to existing business streams. And yeah, I want to just thank you again. Thanks for the time today. Thanks for the update, and looking forward to future updates.
Awesome. Thanks so much, guys.
Thank you. Trevor, I'm going to hand this back over to you.
Yeah, thanks very much, guys. And again, great quarter, and looking forward to future calls. So thanks again, Owen, and thanks again,
guys.
Margaux.
Right on. Take it easy, guys. Thank you.
Bye now.
Bye.